So our next guest is Rebecca Cappuccini of Viking Promotions. She is a comedian, radio show host, all round music lover. So she's going to talk to us about the Waterford music scene. Yes, you heard me, Waterford music scene. Um, I'll be honest, I didn't know there was one. So this is the problem, isn't it? We're all confined in, our mental frame of mind and living in a place. So, Dublin being the capital, and some cities get overlooked. So this is a great opportunity to get to know Waterford's music scene. And apparently I didn't know this. So it was the very first Viking settlement in Ireland. So hence Viking Promotions, which is really cool. And I was interviewed on her show about 2 weeks ago. It was my very first kind of one-on-one interview, maybe my second. So doing a lot of things that I wouldn't normally be able to get myself to do, just through fear, I suppose. So it was nice to kind of start doing these kind of things, like talking to you guys live and doing interviews and things like that. So anyway, our next guest, Rebecca Cappuccini. Let's see if we can get her in here. We're going to listen to some great music now. I'm going to have a nice chat. I think you guys are in for a treat. Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm doing really good. How are you keeping?
Doing really well. And thank you so much for having me on this show. It's such a great thing to get the favor returned, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is it. We're all in the same business, and it's just awesome to know that there's, just really good, friendly, nice people out there, in the music industry. So it's an absolute pleasure to have met you, and let's get to know you. Let's get to know Viking Promotions. Let's get to know some Waterford bands. I'm excited. So fix your mic there. Get your mic up and running. That's a new mic, I take, isn't it? So you just got to get used to it.
Yeah, it's from my garden.
Yeah.
But it's raining here. Well, it's kind of interspersed with showers. So now I'm in my bedroom again, but I'm not used to holding the mic up with my feet.
Oh, that's really uncomfortable. Yeah. And
so I unplugged it.
So you need a mic stand, do you?
There is a mic stand, but the bed is not very stable,
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, well we'll try to make it work, I'm sure. So that's great. So look, you are you're the host in Viking Promotions, and you were a radio show host as well, and you do interviews with musicians and things like that, which is absolutely awesome. So tell me a little bit about, well, I guess the main topic today, we're talking about Waterford music scene, right? So tell me a little bit about the music scene there, for us ignorant Dubliners that don't know about it.
Well, I suppose it's true. Like, a lot of the time, Waterford gets overlooked. And as you said, we are the first Viking settlement. We're actually a city, not a town. Everyone gets that wrong. We were the first place in Ireland to actually have coffee. Jacob's biscuits come from here. Rashers come from here. The Black comes from here. The city is so full of magic in all its forms. So there's loads of bands in Waterford that people either finally get to know when they leave Waterford, or don't really get the chances that, let's say, Dublin bands would get while trying to rise to fame, which is a huge, huge shame. So it takes people like me going, hey, have you seen what's going on in Waterford?
Absolutely, yeah. And is there any bands that stand out for you currently in the scene? Tell me a little bit about, give them a bit of a plug.
Okay, so like you asked me to pick 4 tracks. So I picked 4 local artists. So we've got Toucan. I'd say most people in Ireland know who Toucan are. Then we have Cal Pacino. He's an amazing jazz musician, hip hop artist, and he does his own solo stuff. He's also in the process of creating somewhat of a super band to showcase his magic perfectly. So that's super exciting. Then you've got 7 Levels. They're a psychedelic post-punk band who kind of are born from the ashes of one of Waterford's more famous bands, which would have been Chimpambi. I've got about a decade worth of Chimpambi love in me. So it's a really important project to me personally, but also I'm just so proud of them for everything they're doing. They're just really pushing it, And then we have Tyg Williams. He is an incredible poet, spoken word artist. And as well as that, now he's launching his solo career and making waves, you know. So it's great to see those four. But there's
Mm.
so many others, and I only have so long, you know.
You could use like a whole like 2 hour segment, right? And that probably wouldn't even be enough. How many venues are in Waterford? Like how many music venues?
Well, one of the big problems we had in Waterford was actually a shortage of venues. The music scene sort of died down in the fact that people weren't attending gigs anymore because our main venue, which would have been the Forum, closed down and became a bingo hall.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would have put on gigs for years and years in Murphy's, which would have been kind of a biker dive bar down on the quay, which had been very famous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're really, really lucky in that there are a few venues that still really, really hold music dearly. Like there's a pub called Ishkabaha, and they will let anyone come in and play, and they really have music 7 nights a week. You've got the likes of Tully's, similar situation. But the size for the type of gig I'd be looking to put on isn't really accessible, or wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until about Christmas. Tyg Williams, fantastic man, created a charity event called Buscade. And as part of Buscade, the week beforehand, he entrusted Viking Promotions with Buscade Live, which is a live event indoors. So Buscade is all the musicians in Waterford take to the streets, and they all have one purpose: to busk and make money for Tinton House.
Mm-hmm.
So this year we raised €7,000.
Amazing. Great.
Yeah, I think it's the fourth year it's running, so it's
Mm-hmm.
really incredible. So Viking was given the task, and we were like, "Oh, where are we going to put this on? Because I don't have a stage that I see as fit."
Mm-hmm.
So I literally went into a venue where I used to work years ago and used to put on gigs, and I went, "Can you build me a stage?" And a stage was built. So now
Phenomenal.
Electric Avenue would be our big venue. We can fit about 200 people in there. Um, so it's all in the works. And obviously, I'm kind of delayed with everything I had planned because of the same thing as everyone else.
Crazy. But that's amazing stuff. Like what would be like the misconceptions you'd have about people would have about Waterford? Like, do you get any ridiculous stuff? Because you obviously talk to a lot of people, right? You know, as being an interviewee, and uh,
A
does
lot of the
anything pop out?
bands that would have like gigged in Waterford in the past, or that would have been able to come here, know that Waterford might not have the biggest attendance, but anyone who attends gigs in Waterford is incredibly passionate. Like my journey started 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Similar format to what you're doing now. I ran a radio show online. So I had a webcam and I had the mic, and I used to play local music, and I used to play further afield music.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for a record company I ended up working for accidentally called Ruby Music. So I would have been doing the radio show, and then I would have been let go from my job. And then the guy who ran Ruby Music was like, "Look, there's an internship there if you want it."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Okay." So I took the internship, and I fell in love with one of the bands that we were looking after, and that was Chimpambi. So
Mm-hmm.
Chimpambi are an incredible Waterford band. Their last gig actually was at the Waterford Buscade Live in December. So they ended their journey when I was just relaunching mine, and then they obviously relaunched as a brand new thing,
Mm-hmm.
which will play one of their tracks, Seven
Awesome.
Levels, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that, then my boss would have went, "I heard this band and I think you'll love them." And he sent me another band, and that band was New Secret Weapon. So I heard New Secret Weapon Tea Party, and I literally did not stop listening to that song for about, I don't know, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Wow.
was kind of when I realized my love level of music is so strong, and I'm just so passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
And every few months a band will creep in there. So the most recent love was Thumper. Love them.
Oh, they're
And
amazing.
then
Yeah.
they're insane.
Mm.
And then this week I fell in love with Blackbird and Crow. So I've just been losing myself in them. So Waterford as a whole seems to be full of people that are full of magic and full of passion, who will happily go to gigs once there's really good gigs going on. It was just
Mm.
kind of having the venue, and there's so many passionate artists out there and so much high quality magic. It's
Mm.
just really hard for people to see it, I guess. And
Yeah.
if you're in Dublin, you're getting all the gigs you want. Why would you come down to Waterford? Because you don't really like understand that these people are so passionate about everything they see. And then I think that's part of the problem, is getting people maybe to do band exchanges or
Yeah.
getting feelers out there to try and get the scene to just kind of morph and change and to see more than just Dublin, but Ireland as a whole. There's so much magic, you know?
It's great. It's actually interesting you're saying that, because I haven't actually seen many of these band exchanges, which I think it would be an absolutely fantastic thing, because there is bands literally in every nook and cranny in Ireland. If you search, you will find a band somewhere, just like you'll find a bar, I suppose. So that's perhaps something we should think about, isn't it? So if any of the viewers have any ideas on how to sort of expand on this as well, or if you're a musician or artist, and you know, after this all blows over, I think there'll be a lot more creativity and a lot more action being taken, because of course, being stuck indoors, you're only limited to so much action. So I mean, when this is over, it's just going to be action. Everyone's going to be starting doing things. So which I'm really looking forward to that. Do you want to introduce one of the artists today, and I can play a video for you, or for for our
Okay.
viewers?
Well, which one do you want to start with?
We can go with 7 Levels if you want.
Okay.
Do you want to give us a little
So
plug about these guys? Tell us a little bit.
absolutely. So 7 Levels even have that in their press pack, are from the Forgotten City in Ireland. They make it a huge part of their journey, and it is. They're born of the ashes, obviously, of Chimpambi, the first band I worked with almost a decade ago. They are a post-punk psychedelic band.
Awesome.
And as I said, they're kind of a super band, using other members to form this absolutely perfect, beautiful band. Now, they had a bit of drama recently where Facebook pulled their video because they were smoking in it. So I'd urge anyone to watch the video on YouTube, because it's absolutely perfect. It's just filmed so well. It's top class. The production values, everything about it. And if you listen carefully at the beginning of the song, you will see that there might be a bit of an Easter egg as to what's to come, because they're going to be releasing a 4-track EP, and this is simply the first single from them.
Brilliant. And do we have a release date for the EP as well, actually, or still waiting?
At the moment, everything's kind of in the air, isn't it? You know what I mean? So that was the first single, was launched 2 Fridays ago.
Brilliant. Okay, so 7 Levels. And Did You Ever Really Listen to Yourself is the name of the song, correct?
Correct.
Absolutely fantastic. Here we go. Hopefully it'll run smoothly. Cool.
Man, but that is not what I am. Born belonging to a land, will not remember what it was. It has been ruled for many ages by many countries, many gods that are external and outside of me. These entities of love are present and all-knowing, but are very quick to judge me if I think outside the box. The only time they're happy is when I'm rubbing off the cock. Shot there's a lot more I could talk, but for the sake of progress, let's pretend that I've forgotten all those rotten things they've done. I followed all the orders, twats and kingdom I made come. This day, how can I escape? Of all the wrong I've done, the West is probably standing in my own way. This day, how can I escape? Of all the wrong I've done, the West is probably standing in my own way. Sat among the ashes, who the hell I will go? When a voice breaks through the noise and it says, well,
That was 7 levels. Did you ever really listen to yourself? And that's the first of our 4 Waterford bands of today. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest. That's fantastic. No, they are absolutely fantastic. Well done. That was a great first selection.
Yeah, no, there's something really, really special about those guys, and they just make my heart sing. And that song, it has this impact on me personally because it talks about self-growth and self-work. Like, do you ever realize that you're the one standing in your own way? Have you ever really listened to yourself and realized where you're coming from? If you listen to the lyrics properly, if you get to know Jer, he's the poet. Like, he has always written these hard-hitting lyrics that just completely, you can put yourself in them. They're kind of like avatar lyrics, if that makes sense. So whoever you are, at whatever stage in your life, whatever way he writes it isn't even what he's writing. It's like he's getting it from somewhere else and it's passing on a message that impacts everyone differently. It's always been the way with Jar.
Amazing. Well, that's absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that you know all that as well behind the music as well is just really interesting. So really well thought out band, music writing styles, 7 levels, and that's the first song. That's a single from their upcoming EP. We're gonna await the rest of the EP as well. So that's amazing, guys. So yeah, let us know in the chat there what you think of the music so far. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. If you have any questions for Rebecca as well, do write it in. Don't be shy, and do say hello as well when you pop in. Russell Hogg, great to see you, brother. Hope you're keeping well. Would love to get you on the show as well, man. So you have you played an instrument ever, Rebecca? Or have you ever been into like playing music? Because you love music so much. So what's the deal with
I used to play bass. I used to be in a punk band called Spilt Milk when I was 16.
Deadly. Okay.
We did one gig. I did one gig with the boys and then they went on to do their own thing. Bass wasn't really my instrument. So I'm trying to get back into music now. So I've invested in a steel drum. When that arrives, I'm hoping to at least throw myself back into music that way. It's kind of like, oh, creative captivity. I'll try do my own thing, you know?
So a steel drum. So that's like the kind of Caribbean sort of, or am I thinking of it correctly?
You know those ones that like kind of you put them on your lap and they make the universal sounds and they've got like 8 different tongues on them. Tongue drums.
Is it the hang drum? Are they circular?
Yeah, kind of like that, but it's not
Right.
circular. It's more kind of, well, it's circular too, but it's not the big one. The hang drum is the big one. So it's a smaller one that fits on your lap.
Gotcha. And where are you ordering that from, actually, out of curiosity? I know it's such a random conversation now, but...
I think it's coming from Slovakia. It's been
Amazing.
handmade for me, and I didn't know when I was purchasing it that I'd have to pick what tone it would have to be in.
Oh, yeah.
So then I got the email 4 days late, and I was in a bit of a panic going, what's the tone of my soul? But when the lads got in touch and he said I should get C major, so I decided to go with that.
Awesome. Yeah, no, because there is a few great shops still out. But there's one notable one that's like the International Instrument Shop. I think it's like World Music, or I can't remember what it's called now. But they sell all those kind of interesting instruments. So it could be a good time for people to actually take upon something a little bit more, well, an instrument full stop, just to kind of heal yourself a little bit mentally and stay grounded and all that kind of stuff. Because there's nothing like playing some frequencies, right? To kind of put you in the right spot.
No, there isn't. It's so important. And actually, lots of the musicians around here are qualified teachers. So they're offering Zoom classes. So if anyone's considering doing music, now is the perfect time to lose yourself in a brand new hobby or give yourself that one chance for that thing you always dreamed of doing, but weren't brave enough to. There's also a great local music store in Waterford called John Palmer's, and they're offering delivery, so you can contact them. Obviously, I'm sure that sort of stuff's going on up your way as well.
Yeah, no, and you're totally right. Like, it is amazing. It's an amazing opportunity now to sort of learn an instrument with all this time. And of course, yeah, a lot of musicians are, certified, qualified teachers, and it's perfect timing for them to actually get a bit of appreciation and a bit of work as well, especially during times like these, I ordered a shaman drum, a rain stick, and like one of those 2 chimey bells, like to wake you up out of meditation, off Toman last week. So we're expecting that to sort of tie in with the rest of the daily routine that we have going on in the house. So Yeah, it's amazing. Like it's great stuff. A little bit.
Oh, no, the
Not
healing
everybody will
sounds
get
of
it, but
music, you know?
it is phenomenal. Yeah. What's so I'll ask you a couple of I have a couple of things I wanted to ask you as well personally, as someone that's been involved in the music industry for such a long time, which is absolutely awesome. To get to chat to you, like, what's been sort of like a live band for you that sort of blew you away, and you're like, whoa, because you obviously seen a lot of, you're really well in tune with music. Is there anything notable that sort of, and I didn't steal this question from you, okay? I swear, you didn't ask me this one last time. Mine is phrased differently though.
No, you're fine. Like we're both upskilling, so we should be
Yeah,
stealing off each other constantly.
absolutely. Yeah.
There's a few bands that stand out to me. I was blessed that I grew up in Switzerland, so I went to a lot of gigs. The Montreux Jazz Festival was a really important date in my parents' calendar, so we went to the Montreux Jazz Festival every single year. One of the most standout gigs for me personally was my 16th birthday. My parents brought me to see Bush. Now, in itself, the gig obviously was to see Bush, but uh, the lineup is just something that you probably will never see in Ireland. So it started off with this Japanese guitar player who was doing his solo work. And he had a guitar and made it sound like there were 7 people on stage with him. I've still never, ever seen anything like that. And I wish I remembered his name because I'd assume he's doing magic right now. He literally bussed outside the organizer's house until he gave him a gig.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it. So after him came on the Universal Soul Players. They were this kind of super group that were formed with some of the Buena
Vista Social Club, is it?
them and
Amazing
other
band.
people joined this super group, and they played. And then it was Joe Satriani. So I got to see Joe Satriani play guitar, and then Gavin Rosdale and all of Bush were on, and that was just mind frazzling.
Yeah, that sounds. I mean, Joe Satriani for me is just phenomenal. That sounds amazing. Yeah, wow. And when did you move to? Did you lived in France? No, Switzerland. What's the story? Tell us what's going on there.
Okay, so I was born in Waterford and I am Waterford born and bred, but my
Okay.
parents got offers for jobs in Switzerland when I was 3 years old. So they both went to work in different branches in the UN, and I
Wow.
would have went with them. So I would have been between Switzerland and France till I was 14. And then when I was 14, I was sent back to Ireland because I'm very dyslexic. And in Switzerland, unless your spelling is correct, you won't get into university. So my parents made the best decision they could make for me, which was to send me back to Ireland to live with my grandmother.
Wow. That's crazy. And then were you still able to, like, is it the same restrictions in Ireland as it is over in Switzerland regarding education and dyslexia?
Well, when I came back, I wasn't allowed to learn Irish, even though I can speak 5 languages, but they wouldn't let me do Irish because if you fail Irish, obviously you fail your leaving cert. I never knew how to read or write in English until the summer before I came to Ireland. So I had a lot of catching up to do. So that did affect me. I'm still petrified of writing to people and things. It really does leave a mark on me. But I do try push through that. Like, so lately I've been trying to post some of my poems, and I've been obviously having to send emails to bands to try get interviews, which is a little scary. But yeah, the other day I even read a French book online to try and get rid of that extra fear of that I'm convinced I can't read or write. Like, it's obviously just in my head because so many people told me growing up I'd never be able to. So doing different things to try and get through my own personal fears and continue my own personal growth.
That's awesome. Fair play to you. Like, I know we touched on this before when you were giving me the interview, but like, you're right. I mean, it is a lot in the mind's programming, right? And what we've been sort of taught to believe about ourselves. Do you feel like there's like, is there any kind of advice? And like, fair play to you for like doing this kind of thing as a career, right? Because you are communicating with loads of musicians. Like, you were hosting a radio show, so you had to obviously write stuff down. You had to, accordingly, to whatever your research was or whatever your interviews were. So that's must have been a lot more difficult. for yourself, that's something, I would take for granted. Let's say something as easy as my brain being able to just, used to reading or whatever. But is there any advice you'd have for people that are in like the similar circumstance, let's say with dyslexia? Like my younger brother has it, and you know, is there anything advice you can give to people that with dyslexia, let's say, and then maybe with any kind of mental restriction of any sorts? Is there anything you can give?
Well, the first thing I kind of discovered was actually a website. I can't remember the name of it, but it was sent on to me by one of the interviewees, actually. His name is Paul MacDonald. He's a famous sculptor and puppeteer in Ireland. And it's a website dedicated to famous dyslexic people.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks solely about famous dyslexic people. And actually, what makes us different is probably what makes us stronger in certain respects. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't take for granted at all that I speak 5 languages. Like, that's not something everyone can do. My English and my French is undifferentiable. Like, you would not know I'm not French. Like, anyone who hears me speak French is just completely amazed by that fact. But I'm not French. I'm just really fortunate that I pick up languages very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I do obviously then have the downside that reading takes a lot out of me. Like, so it's very testing at the moment because my son wants me to read him books the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to do it, but it really, really drains me. Like, I get very tired from reading. There was a time where people were telling me, you know, if you read 20 minutes a day, that'll go away. It doesn't go away. I'm drained all the time. It's true, doing research and stuff, a lot of bands would send me like press packs and they would be heavy on the reading. And I'd be there going, can we do a pre-interview over the phone? Can you tell me this like in person? Because it's just easier for me. I'm just more of a person-facing person. I'm not really a ready person.
Gotcha.
But everyone should play with their strengths. So someone recently told me, instead of concentrating on what you can't do, concentrate on what you can do. And that left such a mark on me that I went, oh yeah. So I can't put on gigs. Maybe I can do interviews and give people a different platform, which is exactly where you're coming from with this. It's fascinating. You know what I mean? We're reinventing constantly. But if we keep focusing on the things we can't do, we're not getting anywhere because we're basically just putting up walls that are stopping us from advancing. Whereas at least with something like this or something I do, a Creative Cabin Fever, for instance, you're trying something different. I mean, worst case scenario, it doesn't work. You go back to the drawing board, you try something new. But I really think that what you're doing with the radio show, for instance, I love tuning in. Like now it's twice a week. I have an extra chance to listen to brand new music that I'd not have access to otherwise. And it's really interesting the way you introduce guests and you talk to people. Now you have the live acts on Saturdays. That's fantastic. But these are all things that if you were looking at the world the way most people look at the world, go, okay, I can't do anything. Well, you wouldn't be doing it. So you're already doing exactly what I'd recommend anyone in my situation should be doing. Instead of looking at the don'ts, at the can'ts, look at the cans and do's.
Yeah, awesome. That's great advice. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's this generation maybe now is sort of treated a little differently than before, I guess. You know, I've heard some stories, obviously, from my parents and people older, how they were like, you know, horrifically treated. You know, for their for things that, you know, whatever, for their weaknesses, I suppose, in education and things like that. So I like to think that it's changed a little bit. I think people are a lot more aware of you know, the fact that, you know, well, mental health, of course, you know, because that can really have such a horrible effect on people's self-esteem, right? But yeah, no, that's it. It's about going where the strengths lie and not focusing on the weaknesses if they can't be changed. You know, I'm sure there's a few weaknesses that can be sort of sorted out or ironed out, but not everything, unfortunately, can. We're blessed with different abilities, because then the world would be too boring, wouldn't it, if we were all the same?
If we're all the same, absolutely.
Imagine.
Like the main reason I do what I do is to showcase other people's magic, because I genuinely believe every single person out there has a magic that's unique to theirs. And that's what I try to capture or bring to the surface in my interviews, because genuinely, there's no two people alike. There has never been two people alike. We're even more different than snowflakes. Like, snowflakes are boring in comparison to human beings. Human beings are fascinating. I learn so much more from an interaction with a person than I would from anything else, but that's the type of person I am. Some people out there would learn more from a book or would learn more from a documentary. Me personally, I love delving into people, getting to know them, understanding what makes them different. And that's kind of where we are with that. So yeah, of course there are things we can work on as people, and we should always be striving for betterment. I don't think I'm ever going to be done with that journey till I'm dead, and I don't think anyone should ever be done with that journey till they're dead. But the things you can change for better, brilliant. And the things that are just part of who you are and what make you special and magic should be embraced, and maybe looking for the positives instead of anything negative.
Awesome, love it. What's let's bring on our next Waterford magical band. Let's our artist. Which one would you like to introduce?
Okay, so, well, do you know what? Let's go with Tig Williams, because he's something very, very different to the first band. He'll make things a little bit mellower for us.
That's great. You sent me two files. So there was a spoken word one, which was awesome, and then we have a song. Which one would you like me to play?
Well, do you know what? Let's go with the spoken word one, because you said it's awesome, and it is awesome. He's very special, and then we'll have two more musics anyway, so that's perfect.
Fantastic. Okay, let me just check. Does he has a Spotify as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's on Spotify. His latest single is called My Father's Cloud. Music video was done for that. Obviously, in the time of quarantine, it was a bit more complex to get it done, but he's able to pull it off. That boy can pull off anything, and he's so young. He just amazes me all the time. He's so driven, so young. He's so kind. I call him Waterford's sweetheart, because that's effectively what he is. He's just such a sweet guy. He's actually available. One of the interviews for Creative Cabin Fever was done with him last week as well.
Oh, great! So there's an interview up already with him, right?
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Okay, let me see if I can just grab him on Spotify as well. That's great. And is there many other people doing live interviews? Have you come across anybody else doing like the live radio shows or anything recently on Facebook?
No,
like
you told me about a friend of yours who's doing live radio shows, all right. With regards to what I'm doing, nobody's really doing it. No. Not that I could find anyway. And I kind of got in there pretty early. Like I started doing these about 7 weeks ago. So my back catalogue, I think we're up at 34 interviews now.
Yeah. So how many interviews do you do a week?
I used to do one every day. I've cut it down to 4 a week.
Wait, sorry. How many initially?
7 a minimum.
One a day. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't think I could do that many. Well, I mean, I do actually. I think I'm doing like 7 or 8 a week actually myself. Come to think of it, but it's all just crammed into 2 days.
Yeah, see, I don't have that luxury. Or like, it's not really a luxury, but at first I was doing them at night time in my house, and my house is very, very dark. So I was doing them kind of while my son slept. And that was kind of great. But then I'd be up till 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to bed and he'd have me up at the crack of dawn, which is 6 a.m. is our wake up time. And I was just exhausted. So the first 3 weeks, that's how I spent it. Now I'm sharing time with his dad. So the days I'm off mom duty, I'm on work duty.
Awesome. So The Village by Tig Williams. This is the spoken word one, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And that's about Waterford. It's really, really beautiful, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it is great.
I throw on me leather boots and my favourite denim jacket, and I fix me hair so I look like somebody's child. I go outside and I close the door and I walk out onto my street. There's some banging middle class entitlement off of me, aren't I lucky? I'm walking down the road past the houses with the little mini water features in the front gardens, and the garage is so long it could fit a family of 4 into one. I look across and down the street and I think of Nellie Harrelin and Helen Finnegan. Nellie, who looked after me and had a massive bag of sweets every Halloween, and Helen is like an auntie to me. The kind of woman who make you a Sunday roast on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock, because she is the kindest of hearts. I'm tall enough now to see over the wall into the hurling pitch, and there's 5 young fellas down the far goal kicking a ball around. Imagine, kicking a football around the hurling pitch, the cheek. I was one of them once. I was Henrik Larsson, and that pitch was Celtic Park, where I played Man United and Liverpool, and I was absolutely shite, but sure look, none of us made it to Celtic Park in the end, so weren't we all? I walk on through the wind, I walk on through the rain, and I turn to my right and take a look at the old schoolhouse. Today it's a family's house with a little mini water feature in the front garden and an extension onto the side to make the porch look nice. And for once I stop and I take a proper look. And I can see the ghosts of kids with their heads hanging low, wearing shoes with no soles and scars on their hands and in their faces. Fear. Boys in one room, girls in the other, because God forbid they be educated together. They don't need any distractions. They need a good Catholic education. And why do I say that? Because running down along the side of this devil-era schoolhouse is a driveway, a pathway, a walkway of shame, of guilt, of public blame to the old parochial house, lined on either side with flowers of all kinds. Some look like those little bishop's hats. Sure, the look and the smell covers up what happens inside. I see ghosts again. Just 2 this time. A young girl holding her stomach, and I feel sick for her. A tall caved figure with a white collar glides along behind her, and I know what will happen to that child. Both of them. Where do you think they got the term white collar crime from? I shake myself out of that distraction and I walk on down the road and I wait for the bus, one every hour on the hour. Aren't I lucky? As I wait again, I look around the church where I was educated in how to be a proper Irishman, sandwiched between 2 pubs, one of which I've never entered because you're either a Stapleton's man or a Lyons' man, and God forbid you be both. And it was in Stapleton's I learned to be a proper Irish man. The old parish hall with the caved-in roof where I went to play school, and the new parish hall where I went to youth club until the priest shut it down to set up a youth prayer group that nobody joined. Despite the fact modern times have caught up with us by the time the bus arrives, I greet the driver, the grumpy Englishman, with the same "How are you, John?" as 1,000 times before, hand him my money and he drives on. As we leave the village, I glance at my primary school out the window where I hear the echoes of the names I was called by my classmates, and they are drowned out by my tears. And I have a flashback of my 5th class teacher. I'd known those nicknames I earned because I couldn't hurl. I throw my eyes away and out the other window to distract myself from those echoes when I see the new parochial house. It watches over that school like a cloak wrapped around the conscience of Irish children, shaping it from the get-go. Some tear themselves free. I did. I ripped the cloak away from me and ran towards that bus as fast as I could, and despite the wind and the rain, I never wore a hood. My dreams were tossed and blown, but I kept an open mind, as did my parents in what was an impossible time. The grumpy Englishman transports me from 1950s Fianna Fáil Ireland to a land of promise and excitement, if you could call it that. The city gave me an actual ability to write this poem. I was raised in a village but reared in the city because it was there that I found my people, my tribe, those who nurtured me. The city doesn't just have an open mind, it has an open heart, a graw for all and for talent and for the provisions of its enhancement. It accepts the outsiders, the insiders, the left-siders, the north-siders, and all the sides which are still to be discovered. But the city wouldn't do a Sunday roast for you on a Sunday unless it got paid. It has an unforgiving nature that is laid out for all to see and experience and survive. The village, although quieter, is kinder and peaceful. With people who raise me to smile at a passerby and appreciate the simpler things in life. The only real difference between the village and the city is their mentality. One is open and unforgiving, the other is exclusive but gives you a proper sense of community living. So I step off the bus and I say, "Thanks, John, best of luck." And today he replies with a simple "See ya." And I walk on up the town with hope in my heart. And I know that whether I walk in the village or the city, I'll never walk alone, because I can consider both my home. It takes a village to rear a child, but it takes a city to know.
Amazing. That was Tig Williams with The Village. And how can people find that piece, actually? Because it's not on Spotify, right?
Yeah, I don't know when that piece is going to be released or if it's ever going to be released. I will definitely ask him and I'll send you on that information. So The Village is about the village where he grew up, which is Slieveru, which is just a little bit outside of Waterford. It's funny because in that he mentions Helen next door being like a second mom to him, and she's actually my best friend's mom, and she was also a second mom to me. So I would have met Tig when he was a toddler running into the house in Slieveru when I was over there for sleepovers.
Amazing.
Which is fascinating because we've only re-met like in adulthood now, you know. So yeah, I'll definitely find out for you where that is. There's a big spoken word scene in Waterford. There is a festival called Mod Words that happens every year. Actually, tomorrow night, I believe Waterford's going to have its own leg of Word Poetry Day. So we're going to have live videos and different poets from all over the world joining in for World Poetry Day. There's a huge scene of spoken word artists and poets and just artists of all sorts you wouldn't even know because it's Waterford.
And isn't that crazy? Like, you know, for me, had I not spoken to you, I wouldn't have known. It's just, I guess it's difficult as well to sort of like, well, you, you just wouldn't even assume it. You know, you wouldn't assume that like a city would, outside of Dublin, you know, we know kind of Galway, Cork is kind of the familiar go-to secondary sort of cities, right? But Waterford, you wouldn't put really on the map mentally as a sort of musical and art-driven place. You were saying it's confused as a town, right? But it's a city, you call it, right?
It's a city. It's definitely a city.
Yeah, so there you go. That's amazing. So I'm delighted you're on the show to showcase a bit of this. I do see a couple of musicians as well on in viewing this. So good to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Neve Dooley, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Would love to have you on the show, Neve, by the way. Brew, I want to rock Waterford. So there you go, Brew. I don't know if you've met Brew yet. Have you met Brew?
I haven't met Brew yet. Nice
Oh,
to meet you.
you want to meet Brew, I'll tell you that. So Brew's doing a show after me today, and he's a phenomenal, he's just a great person, great musician as well. So but he would love the Waterford music scene, and I think it'd be lovely, yeah, to sort out some sort of an exchange to sort of just to expand our sort of knowledge and mind with regard to how many amazing artists are sort of left unknown to sort, like, there's just so many artists, right, in Ireland.
Yeah, but I mean, all it takes is one person to fall in love with a band to change that band's entire world, right? If you are able to hear music that connects with your soul, like you've impacted someone's life forever, whatever way that goes. So, with ideas such as exchanges or even the way we're still networking in a time of downtime, like that's pretty powerful stuff. You know what I mean? We didn't know each other 2 weeks ago. Now we have all these ideas that we bounce off each other. We help each other upskill. We have each other on each other's show. I send you bands. You know, it's just beautiful. Same with Claire. Like from meeting her, I've had different connections. So we're managing to stay alive in the industry when nothing else is really going on, and that's pretty impressive.
It's crazy. I kind of like when I'm doing these shows, I forget at times that there's a quarantine happening out there, because this is really fueling kind of what I was doing outside of this, right? To an extent, all I'm missing is sort of the live performance aspect, which I can pretty much, you know, survive maybe a few more weeks without. I don't know. We'll see when I
don't
go
know.
crazy.
Like music is my life. Like this is the longest I've been without gigs in a very long time, you know? So it's just, it's crazy. Like it's crazy. Like that energy that you get at a gig,
Yeah.
like the way a performer gives you their energy in exchange for your energy, all of that, like even just the power of the movement of dancing and losing yourself to music. Like these are all things I miss. Like bedroom dancing is cool and all, but it's just not the same.
It's not the same if nobody's watching you. Tell me, so let's move on to, can you please introduce us actually the next Waterford, because I'm sure people, you know, want to really listen to more music coming from Waterford. So
Well, I hope so. So the next artist is very special to me. He's a good friend. He's a jazz musician and a hip hop artist, and this is some of his solo work. So he's incredible. As I said, he's in the process of forming a supergroup to kind of emphasize his particular magic, which I think is incredible. I sent you two of his songs today and you thought one of them was just beautiful, but I think we're going to go with another one, which is called Bop With You. This is Cappuccino. So he's very, very special to me, and he's very, very special in Waterford. People with his talent are pretty rare. He's just got this natural, innate ability to just create music that just appeals to everyone. It's not in your face. It's very gentle. It's very chill. It's very mellow. It's all these beautiful elements. And I would highly recommend that everyone goes and listens to him. His most famous song, I guess, is The World Needs More People Like You, which the message in that like can be interpreted several ways. It could just be about a girl he's talking about, and sure, in it he talks about a girl, but I like to see it as a song that's about every single one of us and our particular brand of magic, because the world does need more people like us. Like every single one of us is so special. So Cappuccino, take it away.
Awesome. So this is the song. This is The World Needs More People Like You, right?
Yeah, you can
We
put
go
that
for
one
that
up.
one?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, let me see if I can load this up.
a feeling, and I feel it's quite true. I think the people of the world need more people like you. I could be wrong, but I can see it's quite true. I think the world needs more people like you. You know I tell the truth and all, so how could I not keep saying you're beautiful? But you only F with fellas that are 2 foot taller than you. But I do not care as I watch you undo your hair, looking over with the cutest stare I've seen in my life. I have a feeling, and I feel it's quite true. I think the people of the world need more people like you. I could be wrong, but I can see it's quite true. I think the world needs more people like you. You know I keeps it real and that, but I only keeps it going if you're feeling that. And if not, I guess I need some practice at this spin the needle back. Throw everything to the wayside for that waistline, and no coming down, can we stay high? Gaze eye to them glazed eyes, mesmerized since the day I said I love her all over the time. Longing to press rewind on the seconds that have gone by since I got this feeling, and I feel it's quite true. I think the people of the world need more people like you. I could be wrong, but I can see it's quite true. I think the world needs more people like you. You know I be straight up with you, that I find it very easy to adjust to you. And whether or not you feel the same way, I still dug you, and I dig you, and I love you, and I will do for a long time. Oh, but you know little too much about what I do, and you could get me in trouble. Oh, but it's worth all the risk for a smirk and a kiss, and the burn that exists can't be extinguished. No, no, I'm feeling that I feel it's quite true. I think the people of the world need more people like you. I could be wrong, but I can see it's quite true. I think the world needs more people like you. I think the world needs more people like you.
Absolutely awesome. That was Cal Pacino. The world needs more people like you. What is it with, like, you know, Waterford artists that are just like really, really deep and just writing really good stuff? Are they all like this?
All the good ones are, but I think that's true of music in general. Like, unfortunately, the soul often gets overlooked, right? Like the true soul artists who are brave enough to bear it to the world, they get overlooked because people aren't willing to put in the self work that allows you to grow to a point where you understand it, maybe. So it's often lost upon pop. Like,
Yeah.
I love pop music, don't get me wrong, but it's more of my junk food. Like, I want music that feeds my soul. So I think places like Waterford probably have a richer tapestry of these type of artists because of Great Depressions, you know what I mean? I'd associate a lot of that personally with big industrial villages or towns that lost loads of money, like everything closed down, all the factories closed down, everything like that. So there was a big depression. And then people had to kind of either grow with it or grow bitter. You know, it's the go better or go bitter road. So a lot of poetry comes from dark times. A lot of beautiful messages come from dark times, and you kind of need that. And I think maybe that's where the depth comes from. It's all very poetic, it's all very uplifting, but yeah, there is a sadness in there and there's a darkness in there, and it's just all the more powerful for that reason.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing, and I've really enjoyed the artist you've presented today. So thanks so much. We have one more anyway before, obviously, so don't worry, I didn't forget. We have one more left. So guys, yeah, listening in or watching in even, do let us know what you think. We're playing strictly Waterford artists at the moment. So, you know, this is
that was my one request. I was like, yeah, I'll do your show. I'll put myself completely out of my comfort zone. I'll get questions thrown at me, but have to be able to showcase Waterford.
Yeah, no deal. Like and I think it turned out really well. I think maybe this could be an idea where, should I be giving away my ideas too soon? Where, you know, I showcase every county in Ireland, you know, once a week.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I really think you should. Like, I'm trying to reach out from artists from all over with Creative Cabin Fever. And I have a few really interesting ones coming up, and they're definitely not in Waterford, you know. Like, this is our chance to kind of keep the industry alive in our own respective ways. So what you're doing with the radio show is brilliant because you're giving people a chance to get to know a bit more about the artist. A lot of the time you hear a song from someone and you don't really question what's their motivation, where does it come from, why are they writing this way? And you get to know very little about the artist. And what I'm trying to do is encompass their magic and show the world through interview form. This is what makes this person different. So we're kind of giving the world a glimpse to a different side of artists that probably wasn't needed before, because before you just had the music, you just had the gigs, and now we're allowing there to be an extra platform. I think that's a great idea. I think you should definitely reach out to like places like Galway, Cork, Limerick. If you need any contacts, I'd be happy enough to send you on to some great bands, you know?
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. It feels like a good idea, especially after listening to such amazing music right now that you're presenting to me. I mean, it's just such a shame if I wasn't able to hear this stuff, you know, and other people as well tuning in. And I do not want to stay strictly, you know, Dublin music, because it's Irish music and honestly world music ultimately. I just don't want to get duped for copyright, so I do need the allowance of the artist to play it, I believe anyway. I think that's how it works, right? I'm not too sure how this all...
No, certainly. Like, I'm incredibly grateful that you're allowing me to use this platform to showcase Waterford, because it's something that I'm so passionate about. Like, I would not do the job I do if it wasn't because I'm purely driven by passion. Like, to me, Waterford is just the most magical place on earth. I'm bound to it. Anytime I try leave, it goes awry. So I know my mission is there.
Amazing. And you're not paid to say that either.
No, by nobody. If you know any way to make me some money in these downtimes, I'll take it. Single mother, struggling.
There we go. There we go. The ad has been placed on Facebook Live. So guys, Brew, transmission frozen. I hope the transmission has unfrozen itself. It might have sometimes... we do get a little bit of a... I think my internet's doing pretty well, actually. I ordered in a lot of high-tech gadgets to sort of make this a flawless experience, and I think it's going pretty well. Davey Kerrigan, thank you for tuning in and watching us. Great. No, absolutely awesome. I mean, we could chat for ages about music and a lot of other stuff. Do you want to...
present the last band so you can leave me and move on to the next guest? Yes, I would love to.
Words out of my mouth.
It's funny when someone does that when you're interviewing them, right?
Well, did I do that to you? Did I?
Yeah, you did. You took complete control, and that's really rare. People are not usually able to like steer things away. You did great, though.
Well, I was like, I didn't know what to do because usually I am in control. So when somebody, like when you took it there, I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do now. So for a brief moment in time, right? It's like a split second. So it's funny how that works. But it was nice to do something different. Like I don't think I could watch that interview again, to be honest. I felt really like I'd cringe. I'd watch this again, no problem. I wouldn't cringe. I'd enjoy myself. But being interviewed is a different shtick altogether, right? I don't know. You're doing great though.
I don't know. I'm actually quite nervous, like, but we're getting there. It's completely different for me. Like, this is the same as what you went through. Like, this is completely different. Like, I've only ever had 2 other people interview me. So, like, a few months back, I was running this event called Steak and DJ Day, and I went on WLRFM, which is like Waterford's local radio, and someone was interviewing me. And then last week, I was obviously on News Talk, which was just a surreal experience. But yeah, so this is my 3rd time someone else is actually effectively interviewing me. It's a little bit different.
Amazing. No, you're doing great. And it's always that little extra weird, you do forget it's live, I guess, which is good. You know what I mean? It's always that kind of precursor to it that's a little bit kind of like I'd always get nervous before the actual, when I press stream, and then there's like 5 minutes before it actually goes live, my heart rate increases like exponentially. But then when I start talking, it relaxes. So it's interesting how that sort of works out, especially if I'm in control, which is, okay, this situation, it's no bother. Mick Joyce wrote, Viking City is cool in lots of ways, including Metal Man beer. So there we go.
That is correct. Metal Man beer is beautiful, and they were our sponsors for a while. We actually had our own Viking Promotion Metal Man beer cans and everything. It was pretty cool.
There you go. I have yet to try that beer, so that's amazing. Thanks for the input there, Mick. Mick is actually a fantastic musician as well. He's in a band called Mick and the Sonic Gypsies, and they're definitely a band to listen to as well. So Mick, I'd love to have you on the show as well. So yeah, without further ado, give us the last Waterford band. Tell us a little bit about them.
Okay, so the last Waterford band are called Toucan, and I would be incredibly surprised if you guys have not accidentally heard them somewhere in the past, because they've been all over the radio, all over the media. They're used for a bunch of ads. Yesterday, a fan art video went up, actually. It's not the song we're playing today, but one of their songs called Gold sounds a lot like it should be a Bond theme song. So this guy supercut all the Bond themes together to make Toucan be the new Bond theme song. And I was like, yeah, I'm good with that, but can we use me as a Bond girl? Because that's always been a dream of mine. It's like the Waterford Bond edition.
Amazing.
Yeah, so Toucan, Conor Clancy pretty much is the head honcho for that, and it's also another super band with loads of really talented musicians from all around. Like the keyboard player Killian Brown, he's just one of the most talented pianists I've ever come across in my entire life. He is just magic personified. He's also in another band called Backroad Smokers from Waterford. They are about to launch a new single on the 1st of May. I would definitely recommend anyone listen to them. They're kind of a funk soul thing. But for right now, we're going to go with Toucan. Yeah. He used to be a playwright. He's now a songwriter. It's really interesting to watch someone progress in the different forms and stages of writing. And he's obviously really slaying it. Connor is an absolute sweetheart. So Toucan, go for it.
Awesome. Which song are we playing?
Which one did you want to play?
Well, recommend. So they've, because I'm on their Spotify, so I can either Spotify it or I can play the tune that you sent me, which is Bop With You, is it?
No, that was Cal. So go with Toucan's Spotify.
Oh, Wonderful Way. Sorry.
That's the one.
That's the one. Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, I heard this one. Yeah, this is great.
Set me on fire in your wonderful way, darling. You make adventures out of drying paint. You make adventures out of drying paint. Open an atlas, pick a point on the map that you want to set your feet down so they touch the soil. To set your feet down so they touch the soil. No matter what happens, darling, we're laughing sweeter than the sap in a maple tree.
drying paint. Set me on fire in your wonderful way, darling. Your smile's infectious and I feel inflamed. Your smile's infectious and I feel inflamed. Dear, there's this heat that you've got, and it makes me think that just by swimming in some water you could bring it to boil. Swimming in some water you could bring it to boil. And oh my, this phosphorus and furnace fueling our desire. Setting on fire in your wonderful way. And oh my, how pleasant to be burning if you're the fire. Setting on fire in your wonderful if you're the fire. Setting on fire in your wonderful if you're the fire. Setting on fire in your wonderful way. No matter what happens, darling, we're laughing, sweeter than the sap in a maple tree. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Just be with you is in my heart, tumbling more than would be in a washing machine. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Set me on fire in your wonderful way, darling. You make adventures out of drying pain. You make adventures out of drying pain. Set me on fire in your wonderful way. 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 Set me on fire in your wonderful way.
We could keep going with Toucan. Absolutely awesome. I think we disconnected from live. I'm just going to triple check and see if we did. Your live video was stopped because it may contain music that belongs to someone else. Well, duh. It's grand.
Oh wow.
It's actually grand. I hope it's it lets me still use this, because this was a really good show.
Yeah, I'd say it will though,
Well, yeah,
because
yeah.
we were given the permission anyway. So
Yeah, Facebook, we have permission to use this music, so fuck off.
yep.
Well, do you know what? It's all recorded anyway. I'm still recording it personally, so that's grand. I can always I'll be uploading it onto YouTube and some better websites that aren't so sensitive to this kind of thing. So yeah, just give me a sec while I relaunch this onto Facebook. That's okay. So anyway, that's I love that song. I think that's so good. That's such a good vibe.
Yeah, Toucan are amazing. Connor Clancy is a bit of a genius. Like he's so interesting. Like he was one of the interviews I did as well on Creative Cabin Fever, so his interview's up. Yeah, I've been really lucky, like, and it's so nice of you to give me a chance to show everyone what Waterford is like, you know, because it's true, it just gets overlooked the whole time, and it shouldn't be. It's magic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And no, thanks for coming on and sharing the magic. You know, it's great that you do this as well. Like, it's artists need this, you know, need someone to appreciate and be passionate about culture beyond music, even, you know what I mean? Just culture, really. Because this is all embedded into the Irish culture as well, isn't it? This songwriting, spoken words, I mean, it's centuries, if not millennia old, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's so important and so powerful. Like, we come from great creators, you know, a lot of mysticism in our blood. Like, we are just made of magic. Like, so it makes complete sense that kind of the voice of our time would be represented so vastly all around the country. All around the country. There are amazing acts all around our country.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how many there are.
We were talking about it with Roddy Clear on his interview. Like, Roddy obviously has over 40 years of radio presenting behind him, and he always says it's just whatever way Ireland is, we have the higher quality, like we have it all here. It just very seldom gets picked up on.
Internationally.
Yeah, of course, obviously in Ireland itself, you can be a superstar and that's cool. Like, but
Yeah, I wonder what it is actually, because I'm obviously not at that sort of level of it in an original musical standpoint. You know, for me, I'm focusing a lot on covers. Sorry, I'm just trying to do this while we're chatting.
I'm okay with us keeping chatting because either way, you know, it's being recorded. So
Yeah, absolutely.
take your time.
So yeah, so for me, like to be in the mind frame of, trying to get past that sort of barrier to entry to sort of record label-esque entry to, touring entry to that kind of stuff is beyond me. That's beyond my mental scope of understanding. Because I don't do that. For me, it's ticket sale gigs. That's essentially where my focus is at the moment.
Yeah, of course.
Along with other stuff, along with original artist promotion and things like that. But as a musician, me, it's ticketed stuff. So yeah, I wonder what it is like preventing our Irish artists from sort of moving past that into the international sort of realm. I don't know if you know anything about. Have an idea?
I don't know what it
perception?
is either. I do know that a lot of bands, like historically, a lot of bands I would have known from Waterford in the past that they'd well had to leave Waterford. So like you have O Emperor, they only kind of started to hit really, really big when they moved to Cork. Okay, but they are all Waterford. Like when I was 14, I used to be going out with their lead singer. The band used to be called Troubadour at the time. It was a completely different thing. So I would have been able to see them from 14 onwards grow and watch how magical they would become. They were one of the biggest Irish acts. Then you had other bands like Gorbachev and things like that. They moved to Liverpool and they were doing really, really great stuff over there. But again, it was a question of moving. Now, my favorite band of all time is Bush. And obviously, Bush are from England, and no one really knows Bush are from England. But the only time that Bush were even able to break it is when they moved to America on a record deal. And that's when they became incredibly famous. So a lot of people really take that for granted as well. So I'm not really sure what it is that stops Irish bands from being as mega super duper as they could be. You have the few exceptions, obviously, like Bono and U2 and all that, which is great to see. And you've got Sinead O'Connor, super duper famous. But as a rule, we don't really make it out of Ireland. Like,
Yeah, it's interesting how that works, and I've definitely heard of bands, yeah, that would, they're hard-working bands, and they would have to leave Ireland for them to really get to that next level. They'd go to the States where they just blow up within a couple of months, or within a year, and that they
well,
would not have
size must
achieved
come
that.
into it as well. Okay, size must come into it because, like, you're looking at the population. Ireland just doesn't have the population to fill your needs for Spotify hits. Okay, whereas if you move to America and you visit 5 big cities and you even resonate with 10% of the population, you've already got your hits super up high. So that probably does affect it. Like,
Yeah,
but yeah. It's a tough one. Like, I really don't know what the big difference other than the population, because it's definitely not a lack of talent. Like, there are so many incredible bands out there at the moment. Like, my new big love is obviously Blackbird and Crow. Like, I'm actually obsessed. Like, I've done nothing but listen to them for 5 days. Like, they're incredible. And like, the thing I like best about that particular band, not just the subject matter and like how bluesy and witchy it is, but it's actually the fact that she has no problem whatsoever using her accent. Like, she is fearless in the fact that she will sing with her Irish accent. And I think that's incredible because it adds this completely different dimension to the music. It allows for things to just be so natural and Irish, because there was this whole phase there where Irish bands could make it big if they had like an English accent or an American accent. But then you're taken away from the essential magic that is within us. Like, you're taken away from our heritage, you're taken
oh
away
yeah,
from our passion and our magic. So that to me was a bit shameful. But like, I love that about her. I just think it's incredible that anyone would be brave enough to do that, I guess, in this day and age, maybe. I'm not even sure it's brave. It's probably the thing that makes them stand out to me. So that's what makes them magic to me. But it might be the thing that makes them magic to other people as well. It's very hard to really gauge and decide.
sure, yeah. Well, no, it's good that that's sort of changed a little bit. That there's not. It's like people are more. I don't know. Is it open-minded or to an extent? I don't know. The music industry is a tricky one. It's something that I still don't fully understand as a, on an international, global sort of level, on how, let's say, these pop tunes are just keep being sort of churned out. And some of them I'm enjoying, let's say, of course there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's kind of what the majority focus is, it's a shame. There should be sort of a balanced focus on multiple genres, right? And different types music from different countries, because now everything is globalized, right? Everything is sort of so interconnected. It doesn't matter if you're from a tiny little island in the South Pacific, making music. You could technically, become famous or become well known. So it's a really tricky sort of sitch. I don't really know, and it's obviously controlled by these big labels, these massive labels that decide who gets through. And that seemed to have not changed too much, right? Like, I mean, it's changed in different ways, but there's still always a hierarchy, right, that makes this decision, which is quite unfortunate,
Yeah, there's two really interesting points I wanted to bring up with what you're just saying there. Like in the Tyg Williams interview, he brought up this really important fact I thought is like, in France, there's a law that prohibits you from playing anything more than 20% English spoken tracks, right? So if in Ireland we had a law that said, because like the quality's out there, there's Irish made pop, there's Irish made hip hop, there's Irish made everything, and it's of high quality standard. It's not like we need to go to America or England to get the high quality. It's here, like it's within our midst. So if we were a bit more nationalistic about the music we allowed played on the radio, because effectively the music to the wild masses will be on the radio. So if we were a bit more nationalistic, we would give Irish bands a platform that they would actually be in everyone's ear. Therefore, they would make it massive. Okay, so that to me is a really big thing. Like if I was on like a national radio station, I would ensure to play Irish as much as possible because there's so much out there. Like the quality is just there. And the second thing you said, obviously, which really resonated with me in this particular moment in time, is there is no reason why someone from Sao Paulo can't make it big in the Philippines, for instance. And like, I don't know if you watched Searching for Sugar Man, for instance. If you look at that man, like it's a documentary about this guy called Rodriguez, and he basically made this album and it was very, very, very poorly received, or it just didn't make it at the right time. It was kind of like before its time. It's incredible. You should absolutely look up that documentary because it's life-changing, and you should also listen to the music of that man. Okay, but he became really, really famous in South Africa during the apartheid because he was the voice of the apartheid over there. So he went his whole life thinking that he had achieved nothing until one day someone found him in a country where he was a mega duper superstar, where they believed he'd been shot at one of his gigs and was dead, and flew him over for a gig that was just bigger than anything he ever could have imagined. And it turned out what had happened was the guy who had all his recordings basically defrauded him out of his royalties and made an absolute mint off him without him ever knowing he was a superstar in a foreign country. And it's an incredible story. Like, it's just beautiful. And Searching for Sugarman is the name of that documentary. It's also the name of the album. My son actually came out while I was in labor to a song off that album called I Wonder. It's incredible. But yeah, there's nothing stopping us now. And I guess we're kind of more protected as well. Like things like that don't happen anymore. You know what I mean? If you get discovered in Australia, people are going to know about it within a few days. Whereas back in the day when this happened, like there was nothing protecting him. Like he lost out on a ton because he trusted the wrong guy, which can happen a lot in the music industry as well. It's full of sharks. You know, you have to be super careful with who you trust and what you allow to happen. So I don't know. But yeah, of course, anything is possible. And especially with platforms like this. Like I had a guy from Wisconsin message me yesterday telling me that I was after changing his whole entire week. Like that's bizarre to me. Like this little girl from Waterford, like who am I? And I'm after improving your week when you're in lockdown. Jeez, that is absolutely not what I expected my week to go like, you know.
It's amazing. That's great. And it's great receiving messages like that as well, just to kind of remind you how much of an impact you can make. Without even realizing, right? By just doing what you want to do, right? What naturally comes to you. I'd love to chat to you more. We could chat for ages. There's loads of other things that I have, like loads of questions. I told you I had like usually 15, 16 questions. I couldn't ask them all for you. I think we've been chatting for about an hour, which is great. We got to know a little bit about Waterford. We got to know a little bit about yourself, and we had a little bit of a chat about like the music industry and a little bit of philosophy and psychology embedded in there as well, which is really cool. I'd love to have you back on the show, and even we could maybe collaborate or something, maybe through Viking Promotions and the Mars Entertainment could do something. I'm always up for collabing with people. I think there's a lot we could actually do and sort of tie in some of the stuff we're doing. But yeah, guys, so we did disconnect there because Facebook didn't like us playing original local artists, unfortunately, because they're not getting anything out of it. So yeah, they disconnected me. But we're back with part 2 here, and we're going to have the full thing anyway. You missed a little bit of our conversation while we got disconnected, but you'll be able to find that later on YouTube. I've been chatting to Rebecca Cappuccini for the past hour, and we've been listening to yeah, some great music, and we're having some great chats. You can find her through, it's Viking Promotions, right? Because I always get mixed
Viking
up
Promotions,
about
yeah.
these ones. There's productions, promotions, there's entertainment, there's events, there's all these luxury words to accompany a company name. So accompaniment words, so they get confusing after. So yeah, Viking Promotions. And yeah, so also Cabin Fever is a show that you host through Viking Promotions, right? So you interview people. You interviewed me 2 weeks ago, and you've interviewed already a couple of the artists that have been played already today that you gave us, and you'll be interviewing a lot more and a lot of really interesting people actually. So I got to know a couple of interesting artists as well through the Cabin Fever interviews. So definitely check them out, guys. Rebecca, thanks so much. Would you like to close off on anything before I let you go?
Oh, just say thank you so much for letting me showcase Waterford, because it's true. It's kind of like what I'm here to do. I want to show everyone what we have. And if anyone wants to reach out to do a creative Cabin Fever, just get in touch with Viking Promotions. I'm kind of booked up solid for the next 3 weeks, but we'll get there.
That's great. Well done on being pre-booked. And yeah, an absolute pleasure chatting to you. We'll do this again very soon. What days? Have a fantastic Wednesday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Rebecca Cappuccini, guys. There you go. What a fantastic chat. Thanks so much. Chat to you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks.